but for you, I will. Anyway, this kind of came about in the roundtable because a couple people were just talking about some of the coaches that they had and how insanely amazing they are, and their stories are, and their journeys are, and their social presence is, and how they're just not gaining a lot of ground. And this is something that is a legitimate issue. I think everybody kind of deals with it at one point or another. But what I've really discovered recently is that, well, not recently, I've always believed that the invite is a 3-part process. There's 3 parts to it. And if you're missing one of them, it's always going to kind of fall short. You're never going to quite get the pow out of it that you want to. And I really believe that it starts with networking, and then it goes into a connection, and then there's an invitation, right? I repeat this over and over and over to my coaches: network, connection, and invite. And most of the time, you guys, you get really, really good at telling your story and sharing your results and putting your stuff out on social media and hashtagging and really branding yourself well within your own little home on Facebook, on Instagram, and your group pages. But where a lot of coaches who are awesome, who have incredible content and pages and stories and messages and invites and challenge groups fall short is with the networking. They're not getting enough new audience. They're not going out there and finding people. And I think there's a really interesting mentality out there about finding people, right? Because I think when you think about finding people, sometimes it's like, oh my gosh, I have to talk to strangers. I have to cold call people. I have to cold message people. I have to invite people to something without even knowing them, right? And that's the instant that you lose if that's how you really think about it, because you're right. Like, if you're just cold messaging people and there's no connection, there's no relatability in there whatsoever before you send that invite, it's not gonna land. Like, every once in a while you may get lucky and somebody may just be in that place where they need you that much that they're like, okay, fine, I'll do whatever anyone says, tell me, and I'll do it. But for the most part, you guys, like, what I'm really trying to help my team with is do what you can do and control what you can control, and then what you can't, that's really what we don't have time to focus or worry about. And a lot of the times coaches worry about the stuff that's completely not in their control. So this call is 100% about teaching you guys how to network. This is the very, very beginning step. This is going to expand your audience every single day so that you're talking to new people. So that monotonous message that you're sending every single day is going to hit brand new ears. But it's really the missing link, I think, a lot of times. So if you're thinking to yourself like, oh my gosh, I'm doing my workouts, I'm doing my vitals, I'm posting, my content's good, my coach says it looks good, my pictures aren't blurry, like, I don't know what's going on. It may just be this little tiny piece that's missing, which is the networking part of it. Going out there and being productive with your business. And one of the things I love the most about this power hour that we did, and we did this last week, is that's exactly what this is about, is feeling productive, which is something that is really hard when you work from home and you're your boss and you manage your own time and schedule, and you don't necessarily know what to do in those little tiny moments when you're by yourself, right? If you're on the call, you're like, yes. If you're in your group pages, you're like, yes. If you're talking to somebody, awesome. But sometimes when you're by yourself and you're kind of starting from scratch, you're like, what the freak am I doing? And just to give you a small background before we jump right into this, I started my business 8 years ago with 0 friends and family. I've built my entire business off networking completely. I didn't do referrals. I didn't sign my husband up as a coach for 1.5 years. Like, he wasn't even on my Facebook page. I was like, I'm doing this by myself to see if I can do it. And it was largely because of the place that I was in at the time. But like, I truly believe that even if you have 0 friends like I did, 0 network, 0 background in this, you can make it work. It's really just being smart and working smarter, not harder. So here's a couple rules and then we're gonna get going. Number 1, do not be emotional about this exercise. This is not about connection. This is not even really about inviting. This is purely networking. Okay, so networking is kind of like putting flyers on your neighbor's door. Like, hi, I live on the corner. My name's Jace. Nice to meet you, right? And then there's a nice little picture of you and maybe like a little biography. That's what you're doing. You're not trying to do anything other than that. So don't get caught up in the emotional part of it. And if you do, you're going to lose the purpose of this activity. So the connection, the next step of this 3-part POW, right? The network, connection, and invite. The connection is really where the E comes into the motion, right? The networking is purely going through the motion. The connection is where you add that E and it becomes emotional, right? And then almost in the invite process, you kind of get rid of the emotion again and you sort of just say, here's what the solution is. You want to do it or not? And if they say no, then you're not emotionally connected to it and it doesn't matter. If they say yes, then you can commit deeper to that person and continue supporting and challenging their journey, right? So number 1 rule is do not get emotional. That's not what this exercise is about. Number 2 is do it in the order that's on the sheet because it's in order on purpose. And I'll explain that kind of as I go. And the last part of it is don't think, just do. And they're really 3 simple rules, but they're really important because a lot of people get caught up in their head. And like Tony Robbins says, if you're in your head, you're dead, which I love because I'm always in my head. So that's what we're gonna do. So this is how this works. We're gonna focus mostly on Instagram. So get your phones out, get your computers out, whatever you use to go through that, have your tracker in front of you. And I'm gonna guide each little activity and kind of give you guys the details of what they mean and what it is and how to do it. So hopefully you'll learn a couple new tools as you go. If you come across an activity that you can't do, either because your account's private or like something's happening, that's a sign right there that that's probably something that's holding you back, just so you know, and that's fixable. And as we go, if you have questions, just let me know. So my coaches kind of know the drill. They're probably already cranking on this, but we're gonna go through it together. I'm gonna try and do it as I'm kind of leading the call, just to show you guys how simple this really is. This isn't a rocket science kind of activity, but it's really effective. And I hope by the end of the hour, you guys are gonna feel like you did something for your business and that you grew, okay? That's the whole goal. So whether you've been a coach for 1 minute or 1 year or 10 years, it doesn't really matter. If you're just now like getting into this and wanting to make this your business, this is the perfect call for you to be on, because this is a way for you to see immediate results right now, today, through your personal work, right? Okay, does anybody have any questions before we start? Never mind, let's not do that. That will take us off kilter. Let's just start. So the very first activity is create 1 new Instagram engaging post. So what this means, and while I'm talking, I want you guys all to be on your phones and trying to do this. An engaging post with this specific activity isn't an invite trying to get somebody to a challenge group or anything like that. What it is you're trying to get response. So the best way to create an engaging post is to ask a question or ask for suggestions or ask for a recommendation. Like ask other people to help you. And that's when people are like, ooh, I can help. I know what this is. Like ask for a specific kind of meal or a new favorite drink. Like ask what their favorite TV show is. Like figure out how to engage your audience. This works really, really well with Instagram, with Facebook too, like your Facebook profile. But with Instagram, the pure goal of this is to get people talking on this photo that you're about to post. And not only that, but the next activities that we're gonna do, this post is what the people coming into your network are gonna see first. So here's what I really want you guys to do. I'm gonna give you 5 minutes to do this. So I want you to go and post on your Instagram, okay? And I'm gonna give you a little tip in case you guys don't know. A couple of my coaches didn't know this. Do all of you know how to queue Instagram posts? Okay, so I'm just gonna explain it while you guys are kind of posting your first post for tonight's activity. If you go into your Instagram and you pull up a picture, you edit it, you write all your stuff, and you hit okay, and then instead of sharing, you go back, you can hit save draft instead of cancel out of it, and it keeps it and saves it in a little folder. So you guys should always, I recommend having 10 or 15 posts in there that are just ready to go. Because there's gonna be days where like your kids are taking over and life is taking over, or you're not feeling it and you're like, this sucks, I don't wanna do this anymore. And you're just gonna have this little queue that you can just kind of blast out and stay on time and keep consistent with your Instagram feed, right? So let's see. I usually have, just so you guys know, I usually have like, I think you can have up to 80 pictures in there, but just so you guys know, like this is what mine looks like. These are all my posts that I haven't posted yet that are just queued in there waiting to go, right? So for me, this exercise is like, okay, let's see what I can share right now. Who wants to eat quinoa soup from the reset? I do, right? And then you just kind of post it, post a recipe, post value of some kind, and you share it. So I'm gonna give you 1 minute to finish that activity, and when you're done, I want you to cross it off. And this isn't gonna work unless you do it. So even if you haven't been on Instagram, then today's the day. You're gonna pop your Instagram cherry and make it happen, right? Priscilla, it's really simple. So you go to post on Instagram, you pull up a picture, you edit it, you write out whatever you wanna write on it, and then instead of posting it, you hit back instead, and you can save draft, and it starts that queue, and they'll just continue to save in there, okay? What if you just posted an hour ago? Perfect, do it again. There's nothing wrong with being more social on social media, right? This thing of, did I post too much? Am I not posting enough? Get rid of that, get it out of your head. Like the more you can post, the more active you can be. And this, guys, one thing as a side note, you have 30 seconds left. It's been longer than a minute. But as a side note, like if you're not social on social media, your stuff is not going to get seen, period. The algorithms like people to use their tools. So part of this networking exercise is teaching you how to use each and every single tool so that Instagram will be like, oh, this person's actively using all our stuff. I like that. And they're gonna prioritize your content, because even if you have, 200 followers or 2,000 followers or 50,000 followers, it doesn't really matter. Like maybe 1/3 of them are seeing your stuff until Instagram decides it's good enough to show it to the rest of the crowd, right? So the more engagement you can get, it's not even about the likes. It's almost more about the comments, your DMs, like people responding to your polls. It's the engagement on Instagram that's really gonna boost you up a little bit. So you have to kind of get out of your shell, and this is where you're gonna stop living on your homepage and get out of it and go and network and be social on social media, right? So the next activity we're gonna do is we're gonna create an Instagram poll. Do all of you guys know how to do that? My IG doesn't give me the option to save. Hang on one moment. Let me look really fast at something. It's just the little arrow in the upper left-hand corner. You just hit that back and you can choose to save your drafts. Can you show us your phone as you do it? Yes, I think. As I save the post, is that what you're asking? Like queue it up? How do you find the save photos? It's really easy. So, okay, so I'll show you. So you pull up your Instagram, right? If you guys can see, you click your little plus to go in and load a photo. My phone will work, right? Right underneath where all your photos are, there's a little button, if you have them in your queue, that says manage, that you click on. And you click on that little manage button and it pulls up all the ones that you've saved, right? And then you can just literally click on whatever one and it pulls it up for you to post. Does that help? Perfect. So if you're trying to create a post, then you would just pull up a new picture, right? You hit next, you add a filter, right? Like normal. And then up in this little corner, there's a little arrow and you click on that and it will say discard or save draft. And you hit save draft and that puts it in your queue. And then when you go to post again, it'll show it'll say that manage, and then you click manage and pull it up. Look at us, we're learning already, you guys. This is so good, right? Okay. Okay, so let's see. Brandy, I can't add music to my Instagram either. We'll talk about that later, it's fine. So now we're gonna do an Instagram poll. So here's your double whammy. You just are now creating engagement on your feed. Now we're gonna try and create some engagement in your Instagram poll. So what I do, and this is honestly how I get a lot of my connections and how I really find people that are like me, and how I start to take people from the networking part to the connection part, is in my Instagram polls. So like, what's interesting about my page is I have a pretty big following, but I don't have a lot of people that like my stuff, because the talking that's going on behind the scenes is incessant on my page. Because a lot of people just message me, or they comment. They've started commenting more because I'm trying to push people to that instead. But I get a lot of DMs. I get a lot of activity on my polls, because I love asking questions. Like, I love asking people their opinion. And that's one of the easiest ways to engage people, because they love talking about themselves. And if you ask them something that they like, it's easy for them to answer, right? So on your Instagram stories, my Instagram is @Coach Jace. Priscilla, I think you just asked me. You guys will notice, if any of you start following me, like, I put a poll on almost every single one of my pictures. And it's not like, give me your opinion or tell me yes or no. Like, sometimes they're just emojis and they get to pick whatever they feel about that post that I just posted. But what I do is I try and go and connect with those people who take action on those posts, and I'll write them all back and be like, ha ha ha, wasn't that so funny? Or I'll just like say something stupid, right? But it, again, just creates more opportunity to connect. And that's what networking is all about. It's creating opportunity for yourself. That's it. So go on your Instagram feed, on your stories, and I want you to post an engaging poll. So it can be based on whatever you did today, whatever you've already posted, which hopefully everybody already has. For my girls in my tribe, we're doing our sneak peek for the MM100 Encore next week. So you can post a picture and a question about that. Like, is anyone having FOMO that they didn't start when everybody else did? Like, just little things like that, right? Because we have a sneak peek next week, and then we're doing our Encore group on the 26th, right? So just try and think of something. It can be Beachbody related. It can also not be Beachbody related. Like, you can go on there and post a picture of yourself and be like, I need to change my makeup. I need to change my hair. I need to figure out what to do with my dog. It can literally be anything. Ask a question or put a poll on it, okay? Once you're done with that, go ahead and check that off. And then we're gonna do the uncomfortable exercise that no one likes to do, but it's awesome. And you're gonna end up loving it. Sherry, the first act, we're only on the second one, so you haven't missed it. And we usually try and do this within an hour, but there's a lot of new people, so we're gonna kind of go at our speed. But the first activity was create an engaging Instagram post. This one was create an Instagram poll. So here is really where the real networking comes in. So now you've posted on your Instagram, you've posted in your stories. So anybody that comes to your page right now is gonna see brand new content, engaging content, right? And it's gonna give them kind of that urge to respond and to start interacting right away. So that's why this is the third activity. It's called, I call it the follow unfollow activity. It's very simple. Again, it's non-emotional. This is not about connection or invitation. This is purely what is going to expand your audience every single day. This is also going to help you find your own specific, unique niche and not be networking with who everybody else in Beachbody is networking with. This activity is really key. It's super simple, but what I want you guys to do is I want you to think of a page that you follow consistently, and it doesn't have to be fitness related. It can be an interest, it can be a mentor, it can be a clothing line, it can be another blogger. It can be literally anybody. If you follow somebody consistently and you love their stuff and you find yourself on it all the time, and me and my coaches have a lot of similar pages that we like, because every time I go to their page, I see that my coaches have already liked the content in there. But like, I love Friends, the TV show. I love Oreos, right? So I go to the Oreo page and I look at all the pictures and I'm like, wow, these look so good. I can't eat these, but I would love to eat these. But what I want you to do is I want you to find a page or a person that you share interest with, And then I want you to go into their followers and I want you to follow the first 100 people that just last followed them. That's it. Real small tip. This activity should literally take 1 minute. Follow, 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 right? One thing I will say, I try not to personally hit follow on people that don't have a profile picture or that have a name that I can't pronounce, right? I mean, you can scan as you kind of go and be like, that's not my people. But this activity, again, is just leaving your business card. It's just creating exposure for your Instagram. That's it. This isn't a, hey, I want to be your best friend. Hey, I'm trying to sell you something. None of that. Take the emotion out of it. It's just leaving a business card. Okay. So I'm going to do this really quick. I usually tell my coaches to do this at least once a day. And I know all of you can do it once a day because you're all women and you have to sit down to go to the bathroom. 1 minute. It's super easy, okay? But what's cool about this is nobody is gonna go to the same page and do this, right? So you're just networking with brand new people. I will tell you that like, no, I don't look at their pages. That comes later. That's emotional, that's connection, that's not this part. This is purely just, I'm gonna leave my business card. I'm trying to get my name seen. What you're trying to do is really just create exposure. So like, somebody will be like, oh, this person just followed me. Because most people are like, oh my gosh, I got a new follower. I'm in double digits. Yes, right? And they're like, who is this person? You're trying to get them to go to your page, not you go to their page. That's the purpose of this, okay? So once you've done that, now we're gonna use another part of Instagram that's awesome. And this part is one that is highly overlooked, but extremely effective in creating more opportunity for you to make an actual connection. And that is to interact with 10 of your current followers. So I want you to go into your follower list and interact. You can interpret any way that you want to. But for me personally, I don't count a like as an interaction. Right? An interaction takes like words. So for me, that's personally messaging them or leaving a comment. And how I do this is I leave 10 compliments. So these two activities that are right next to each other, leave 10 compliments and then 10 interactions with current followers, right? Is kind of the same thing. So what I do is I try and leave 10 compliments on strangers. There's no stranger danger here, okay? On strangers' Instagram accounts. And then I try and do the same thing with 10 of my current followers. Compliments win friends. Nobody's ever gonna be like, this person's a creep. I don't like this person. Why are they following me? If you're on there, like your kid is the freaking cutest thing I've ever seen in my life. Your dog is delicious. Like they're never gonna think that you're weird. Well, they might think you're weird if you see their dog is delicious, but that's the point. Like getting out of your comfort zone and talking on social media, try and make a sentence and not just good job, great job. That is almost worse than not commenting at all. Like try and make it sincere. Like really try to, this is when you'll go to their page, right? So even if you go back to that person's page that you followed 100 of their followers, if you go to 10 of those people that you just followed and you actually look at their content, like 5 of their photos and leave them a compliment. You can find something in 30 seconds on anyone's page that you can connect to. And if you can't, that's not your person. Move on, go to the next person, right? Super simple. So I'm gonna give you a minute to go and do that. And I'm gonna try and do that real quick because I know we're moving fast. But really, at the end of the day, you guys, this might take a little more time tonight because you've never done it before like this. But once you sit down and really crank this out, I can do this in 30 minutes or less. Because a lot of these activities are really short. The other part of this too, like when you're leaving compliments, a really great thing that you guys can do, this is what I like doing when I think about this, is I'll go to pages that I really like Gary Vee. I talked about this last week because me and Megan both follow him. And I try and interact with the people commenting on his content. because those are your people, right? They follow the same people. And all that does is anybody who's looking at Gary Vee's comments is going to see your name. Again, you're just trying to be seen in as many places as possible. So if you go and leave 10 compliments or interact with 10 people who commented on one post on a mentor that you follow or a page that you follow, done. Like, look how, and what's cool about that, again, you guys, is that's how you really can stick within your niche and separate yourself from the rest of the pack and really find new people that you have similarities with. So don't just think like, oh, I got to go to a stranger's page and like try and find something. You can also do it with those comments. That's a really, really great way to create interaction on Instagram. Sheree said, sorry, I was trying to catch up and do tasks and listen, and that didn't work. So the 10 interactions, I go to my followers, or okay, so we're just kind of combining the last two. So you're gonna leave 10 compliments to either strangers or people that are following you. And then you're gonna do 10 interactions, which is basically leaving a comment, personally messaging them, liking their photo, just interacting with people somehow. You can even go to your poll, and if people answered your poll, you can do interactions with them and respond. So in total, you're trying to do hit 20 people real quick in like a 5 or 6 minute period. Does that make sense, Cherise? We don't mess around. We go fast. But we got lives, we got kids, we got husbands, we got families. We can't spend all our lives doing this. So, okay, so once you're kind of done and through that, and again, you don't want to be putting so much time into this that you're like, this is taking me forever. Like, this should be quick, okay? Yeah, respond to people who answer your polls. That's really good. Should these be new people? Yes. They should be people, like with all of your interactions, whenever you're networking, they should be with your current followers that you haven't connected with yet, because you guys have an audience already. And if you're not using it and you're not trying to connect with them on a deeper level and you're not seeing all of your followers interact, you've got a huge following already that gets you, that follows you, that likes you, right? Like if you're having a down day, you can completely do this whole exercise with just your followers, and it can be extremely impactful for you mentally. Brownie said, how do you respond to people who answer your polls? So you go into your poll, it's really simple, and the photo that you took the poll on, you just scroll up and it will show you the results right there of who voted. Megan and I had a really interesting issue with this on Facebook, trying to figure out who answered your post, but I think we finally figured it out. So you just go to your picture and scroll up. And this is the one that I did, and it shows this screen right here. And it shows like who responded, how many people responded, right? And you can hit share results, and you can share the results of your post. You can click on the actual number and it pulls this screen up. And that little arrow lets you message them directly right from that screen, which is awesome. Super easy. So if you're like, hey, do you want deets to my challenge group? You can pull it up right there and literally copy and paste your answer to every single person if you wanted. Just so you guys know, I am not a copy and paste coach. I've been doing this for 8 years, and I don't think I've hardly ever copy and pasted anything. As far as like real interactions with people. If it's like, how do I do placement? Like sometimes I'll be like, this is how you do it, right? But whenever I'm talking to somebody or trying to interact with somebody, it's me 100% of the time. Because it's just, that's how I am, and that's how I work the best. So this next activity, we're gonna keep going and cranking through, is we're gonna like 25 photos. So the easiest way to do this is, there's a couple ways you can do this. You can go to your own personal Instagram feed and like the first 25 photos that are there, right? Because you guys just followed 100 brand new people that you don't even know. So if you go to your own Instagram and you just start scrolling like this and you like 25 of the pictures that come up, right? I can do this and I don't even have to look at it. Do it 25 times. It's just, again, being active, showing Instagram that you're there and you're being social, right? And it's also showing these new people that you just networked with that oh my gosh, this person just followed me and liked my photo. It's like a double whammy, right? So it's kind of doing the foreplay for you before the connection. I don't know why I keep making sexual references. It just happens sometimes. I'm really sorry if it's offending anyone. Anyway, so go through and like 25 photos. Another really great place to do this is if you hit your little, what is that thing? Magnifying glass, the little magnifying glass. No, that's wrong. The heart, where it shows the activity. Did you guys know that if you hit the little heart and you scroll all the way down to the bottom, it will say suggested for you. Have any of you guys ever played around in there? Those are basically people that Instagram has already picked for you that they think you would like and that would like you. So they're almost doing the work for you. And like, that's a little gem most people don't know about. If you go, you can do your follow, unfollow activity right there. Awesome. You'll get a ton of new followers that way because they already sort of have labeled you guys compatible. But if you can go in there and like 25 of those people's pictures, that's awesome. If you can do your interactions there and leave 10 comments there, that's awesome. You hit this little heart right at the bottom. And then you scroll all the way down to where it says suggested for you. So you kind of scroll past all the people that just messaged you or followed you or liked your stuff or commented. And it's kind of down there at the bottom. And then if you kind of go through that list, there's see more suggestions and it pulls up a whole new situation for you. So that part's pretty easy. Everybody can like a photo, right? This is the thing that I don't get a lot of the time is how much coaches are like, nobody's liking my stuff. Nobody's commenting on my stuff, but they're not doing that for other people. They're seeing stuff and scanning right by it. You're not liking stuff and commenting on stuff and being as social as you want people to be on your page, right? So this is really the lesson for you to say, like, am I being a product of the product? Am I doing what I'm asking and wanting people to do for me? And I'm telling you this, if you guys can do this a couple times a week even, you're gonna start to notice your following grow, you know? Let's see, is it okay to be following more people than are following you? I was told that you should have more followers than you are following. That's true. I would say that it is a little bit of a turnoff. And if that's your situation, then I would just follow less, follow 50 people at a time, and then follow 25 people at a time. Because then at the end of this exercise or the end of this hour or in an hour from now, you're actually going to go unfollow those people and follow 50 more. It's just a revolving exercise, right? It's not I'm going to get attached to these people unless they start connecting with you, with your content and with your stuff and talking to you, then awesome, then it worked, right? If you think about it, this is what I always think about. If I get one challenger from doing this exercise 5 times in one day, was it worth it? Yeah. If I get one follower who like legitimately likes my stuff that I connect with, was it worth it? Yeah. Did it take 5 hours? No, it took 5 minutes, right? So whenever somebody's like, I don't have time to do this, you're right. If you're saying you don't have time, then it's not going to work, period. You can do this for 10 minutes a day or 10 hours a day and be successful. It's just what you're doing and if you're being productive. So once you've liked those 25 photos, I already kind of taught you guys how to queue up an Instagram post for later, but I want you guys to do it just so that you've done it so you know how that works. So if you'll go in and just take 1 minute and queue a photo in there, you don't even have to put content or edit it right now, but just so that everybody knows how to do that. That way you can kind of get in the habit of it. And it's a really great tool to help you in your business. And I don't know if you guys have already started seeing engagement on your engagement posts, but if you have, congratulations, you just made that happen. Okay, so does anybody have any questions about queuing your posts for Instagram? Perfect. Looks like everybody knows how to do that. Okay, so this next part is really important too, and this is also a time saver and a lifesaver for me. Do you guys all know how to bookmark stuff? Okay, so do you know how to create folders? Okay, so it's super simple. So I want you to find, just go to the first picture that's on your feed. We'll just do it in a really simple way. And hit the little bookmark button, which is the little flag on the far right, left, I don't know, whatever it is on your side of the screen. You just click that. But you can also create a collection. So when you hit it, there's a little button that says save to collection that pops up, and you just click on that and you can create a new folder and start putting your stuff that you save in organized folders on there. So like for one of mine is like PD, one of mine is share, right? One of mine is watch later, that kind of stuff. So if you start bookmarking stuff for yourself, what's really cool about it is whenever you're having like a low content day, or you're like, I just have nothing inspirational or of value to say, you can literally go into your bookmarks and just start sharing that stuff in your Instagram stories. Like I've got to the point where I don't even save stuff anymore. Like I just share it directly into my story. If I see something that's impactful to me, then I'm like, wow, that was awesome. That hit me today. I'll just share it immediately in my Instagram story, or I'll repost it. Because why hold on to the value, right? That's part of what your journey is. You're doing this personal development and they're seeing you grow. They're seeing you learn. And what I've been the most inspired by over the years when I watch other coaches is how they learn and how they share what they're learning. To me, that's awesome, because that's when I'm like, oh, I'm not doing enough. I'm not doing enough personal development. Or no wonder they're so successful, because they're doing the work, not like this kind of work, like this kind of work, right? And I think that that's why personal development is so important. So once you've bookmarked a post and maybe created a little folder, now you have that little gem in your pocket to use. Another really great tool that Instagram loves is tagging a friend. You can make it anything, like whatever speaks to you. Like I do personal development in a lot of different ways. Like sometimes my brain just needs a break, right? Like I love watching The Real Housewives. That's like my guilty pleasure. So me and Chelsea Pearson are like constantly sending each other messages about The Real Housewives. But what's funny is, like, again, you just find other people who have similarities to you. So if you're sharing things from things that you like, you're just going to attract people who like that stuff too. So like people who like Oreos and like to watch Friends, or like The Real Housewives, they follow me and we connect on those things, even though they have nothing to do with fitness. But what they do, those people are constantly engaging on my stuff, and at some point they really start to engage in what you're actually doing. And if you did our connection power hour, which I'm creating, it's very exciting. It's kind of the same thing. Like it just takes this activity and compounds it into the connection part of it, which then will compound into the invite. And it sort of just brings it all into one great ball of awesome. Let's see. Erin said, what are you doing when you unfollow? Going into the followers and just unfollowing whoever. So what I do when I unfollow, which we probably won't get to tonight, just because I like to let that sit for a couple hours, because otherwise it is kind of tacky. And again, it kind of defeats the purpose. Like you want to follow them for long enough. So I just go into my following, and you can scroll all the way down to the bottom. And those are the people that you've followed the most recently. And I just unfollow those people. That activity actually takes a lot longer than following the people. Let's see. They just added filtering. I don't know what that means. Educate me, Erin.
I just went to my following, and this wasn't there yesterday, but when I went to my following, at the top now it says sort.
Oh.
And now you can sort by when you followed them.
Fantastic.
That was not there before.
I can't see that. So if you guys have that, that makes it real easy.
Really? Yeah, see, it's like.
Oh, it does. It does. It says sort by default. You're right. There is a little button right there. I never knew that.
That wasn't there yesterday.
Erin's a teacher, guys. She's on top of this stuff. Okay, so that's awesome. Do you guys see that? And who you're following? So it's a teeny, teeny, tiny little button. So it's right here above the hashtag, it says sort by default or sort. You just click on that little button. There's little arrows right next to it, and it will allow you to sort however you want to. So I unfollow the 100 people that I just followed. So just so you guys know, again, that activity, that's the hardest one for people to do, just because it's very confusing to go and just follow 100 people and then unfollow them. It seems kind of counterproductive, but again, it's just getting your name out there. So I'll follow 100 people, and then a couple hours later, 2 or 3 hours later, maybe even the next day, or just when I have time, I'll go back and unfollow them, those same people that I followed, and then I'll follow 100 new people and do that again. And I just keep rotating that. So again, if you're in danger of following more people than are following you, then I would just cut that number back to kind of keep that even scale. But why unfollow them if you want to engage with them on their page? That's not what this activity is. See, I told you, you get emotional about it. And it's like, but I want to be their friend. That's not what this is. That's the connection activity. That's next. This is just networking. This is you going out and saying, I'm here, like everybody come find me. You're gonna connect and engage with people who start connecting and engaging with you from this activity, right? It would be impossible to go to every single 100 people's pages and connect and invite with them. It would be for me. I would not want to do that. That's not my jam. But the connection activity is about that. And that's why you do that on a smaller, more quality scale, because the way that I built my business is quality over quantity. If you think about it that way, then quantity is going to come in quality. If you're like, I got to have more, I got to have more, I got to have more, you're going to drive yourself to the ground and you're going to drive yourself crazy, right? So this is kind of capturing both areas. You're networking in quantity, but you're connecting in quality. And that's why your compliments and the interactions that you actually make, the number is a lot smaller, because then it's real. Then it's sincere. Then you can take time and put effort into it, right? And add the emotion into it, not just go through the motion. So again, you unfollow them because this is purely a networking activity. You're not trying to like follow 4,000 people, because number one, you're going to go to your feed and never want to be on Instagram because you don't know anybody who's posting. That sucks. You don't want that for the most part. And that's why I say do this a couple of times a week, because for the most part, you guys, and I will tell you this, what you want in your Instagram feed is 100% stuff that's serving you now for who you want to be. That's it. If you're seeing stuff that's like not serving your purpose or giving you value to share, then I would, and that can be like, if you're following your own personally sponsored coaches or your organization coaches, that's always going to be valuable because you can interact with them. You can do these interactions and help their algorithms. You can comment and compliment and talk and connect with your coaches in your organization. So you always want to follow those people. But I'm talking about like the people that you choose to follow on your business page, mentors, people that inspire you, right? The trainers, people, coaches that you love, that you don't constantly follow and unfollow because you're like, I feel good about myself. I don't feel good about myself. I feel good about myself. Like you want to always feel good about yourself in your own home. It's real simple. So just, if something's not serving you, it's okay to let it go, regardless of what it is. Regardless of what it is, okay? So this next activity, we have a couple more and then we're done. Tag a friend on a post. This is a really good one. What I love to do is I love to think of current challengers in my groups, and I'll think of like maybe a couple, 2 or 3 or 4 people. Sometimes it's just one person that I'm constantly thinking about all the time because they're going through something or whatever. And then I will, again, go through my own personal feed, or I'll hit my magnifying glass in my suggested look at this stuff, right? And I'll try and find something to share with that person that's gonna relate to their personal story right now. Like I'm constantly thinking of who I can tag in stuff, because that, again, it's about Instagram activity. It's you using the tools that they have in place for you. And I'm telling you, if you can apply this part of this activity and get your activity done with this specific thing, tagging your challengers on valuable content, guys, that's like coaching one-on-one. That's awesome. That's a really great way to connect with your challengers and let them know you're thinking about them, not just in the challenge group, not just on whatever, but you're like, oh my gosh, I read this and I thought of you today. Like, keep going. You're doing amazing. Like, just them knowing that you think about them. And I will tell you right now, you guys, if you're on this call, your coach was thinking about you, because they didn't get invites unless they were. So I just want you guys to know that even being on this call, it's because your coach personally cared about you and your success and your story and your vision and where you're going personally, period. Or else you wouldn't be here. So, and that makes you feel good, right? That's what you want to do for other people, is create that same kind of support and that safety net. You want to be a safe place for people. So go find somebody to tag. And generally we give like a couple minutes where I'm not talking so you can get this done. It's not really working that way today, but Sherry said, when you save a draft, does it need to have words? No, but it will not let you save a draft unless you make some kind of alteration. So like you have to like brighten the picture by 1 point or something, or else it won't let you save. But you don't have to write anything, as long as you edit it in some kind of way. So here's a really fun one that I love, which is follow back 5 of your followers. So because you did this follow unfollow activity, this is for the people who are freaking out about following strangers and not connecting with them. This is where you kind of get to put a little quality into that. And you get to go to your little heart again. And I want you guys to follow the last 5 people that followed you, if you're not already. 1, 2. Oops. 3. And if you don't have enough, just go continue to scroll all the way down. Again, remember, even if they're coaches, I mean, here's the thing. Here's the thing about coaches. I don't even know if I should say this. Should I say this? Here's the thing about coaches. If you follow other coaches and you network on other coaches' pages, like, you're just, again, expanding your audience, right? I mean, you just never know, like, if that coach is actively working their business, if they're not. Like, my whole thing is, and that's why, again, you guys are on this call, I don't care who it is. I just want to help people. If a coach on another team needs help, if a coach on another team finds something of value that I'm doing, here it is for free. You just have to get in that mindset of giving for free, because it's good karma. It's good for you, right? Networking with other coaches is awesome. Being friends with other coaches is awesome. Like, the more you can really start to compare the similarities that you have instead of the differences that you have, your life will change. And that's with any people. If you can start to recognize what you have in common instead of what they have that you don't, it changes the way that you work. It changes the person that you are. Like, just because if they're a Beachbody coach, you guys should be, hell yeah, they're a Beachbody coach. Me too. Let's go. Let's journey together. That's what this is about. You have to remember that. And I've been preaching this to death with my coaches, so they're all going to roll their eyes. But we are all going in the same direction, to the same place, right? We all have the same tools, but is every single coach's unique journey going to be different? Yes. But does that mean we can't journey together? No. Right? That's why we're here. That's why we're on this call. We're already doing that. So you just have, the faster you can get in this mindset of loving your network as much as you love your coaches and your challengers, you're just going to fall even more in love with the community and the culture. That's what this is all about. It's not just fitness, right? So I want you guys to go follow 5 of your followers that you're not following and follow them back, because there's probably a lot of your followers that you're not following, right? If you're following every single one of your followers, then you get a A+ today from Jace and Miss Erin, the teacher. But find 5 people who are following you that you're not following. Megan said, Jace, does IG still have a max of follower at one time still? You know what? I actually don't know. Oh, Erin says 7,500. How do you find them? So that's really easy. You go to your profile page, like your home Instagram page, and you look up at the very top where it says followers, and you just click on followers, and it will show you everybody that's following you, right? You guys know where that is. And you just scroll down that, and anybody you're not following, just follow. Follow 5 people that are already following you. And most likely, the people that you just networked with, hopefully, are some of the people that just started following you, and now you're gonna already be following them because you followed them first. But you can scroll down and find 5 people in there that you're not following. And you guys, this is the crazy part about it. You have no idea a lot of the time who has been following you for as long as they have and how they're connecting with you. And you never know what your like on their photo could mean to that person, what a comment from you could mean to that person, what a personal message could mean for that person. You just have no idea. I cannot tell you guys how many people are like, I can't believe you're talking to me right now. And every single time someone says that to me, I'm like, why not? We're all just people. Like, what? I mean, what is this about? Like, I don't, that to me boggles my mind. But what's so cool about it is that if somebody's been following you for years and years and years, and they've never had the guts to say a word to you, but you make the first step, and you reach out to them, or you give them a compliment, or you give validation or affirmation or some kind of connection to them where they feel like, oh my gosh, this person knows who I am. Like, it can be life-changing for those people. My Instagram, are you asking for mine? My Instagram handle is @CoachJace. Yes, it says coach in it because I started 8 years ago. And you know what's crazy about that, you guys? That still means just as much to me as it did back then. I've thought about changing my name on Instagram a lot of times, and I can't. I cannot bring myself to do it because I love that title so much. Like, it's part of my brand, it's who I am, and I love it, right? 7,500 in one sitting. See, to me, that's like, how could you possibly connect with any kind of quality doing that? That to me is just like, I'm just trying to get followers. Right? To me, I'm trying to find people to help. I'm not trying to find people who just want to follow me. I'm trying to find people who want to journey with me. And I think, again, my approach is so different. And you guys learn so many amazing things on your teams. Like, for me personally, that's overwhelming. Like, I cannot do the numbers game. I have to have a quality, my love language is quality time. I don't know if you guys have done the 5 love languages. But for me, that's just like, that's why this specific number works really well for me. Oh, Erin said that's a total, not at one time. You can't follow more than 100 in an hour. Yeah, I think it was starting to cap at like 80 to 100 people at one time. But honestly, you guys, that's enough. You don't really need to do more than that. And you don't want to get shadow banned, and you don't want to get blocked. You don't want to be tagged for having creepy activity, right? You don't want to be creepers. You just want to be social, you know? That's good because I really thought someone was like following 7,500 people. I'm like, that would literally make me want to die. So that actually makes me feel a lot better. Do you do this just 1 hour a day, or do you repeat this again or multiple times again? It just kind of depends. I try and do this follow-unfollow activity a couple times a week, at least. If I'm trying to be really aggressive, then I'll do it a couple times a day. It just depends. It depends on my mood. It depends on my workload. It depends on if I'm feeling like I need a new audience, if my page is going stale, if I'm like putting out awesome content and it's not landing. It just means I haven't been networking enough. If you guys are new, I would do this a few times a week because you'll gain 100 followers in less than a week doing this. You know what I mean? Like, this is something legitimate that you can control, that is productive, that when you sit down, you can say, I worked today, you know? And again, we're just trying to create exposure to your already awesome story and content, because you can invite till you're blue in the face, but if nobody's seeing it, you're wasting your time. I don't want you to waste your time. You ain't got time to waste. I see that little baby right there. He needs you. She needs you, right? They need you. Okay, so the last two, the last three, I guess, respond to, if you're able, somebody who answered your poll. So I kind of went through how to do that. So if you guys can pull your poll back up really fast and just see, did anybody have somebody respond to their poll yet? Good, see? So here's what I do. I'm just gonna tell you how I respond to people. And here's the thing about this. Once you've networked and somebody's engaged with you, then you're into the connection part. And that's when you can spend quality time trying to connect with that person. And that's when you can take, you know, those people who answered your poll, like this one was, oh, that's not actually even a question. Again, a lot of my polls aren't even questions. They're just, how do you feel about this? Okay, so this one was, do you like have interest in starting MM100 with our second round group, right? And so I had some people respond to it. I want to do it or whatever. So what I do is I just I scroll up and I find that person and I click on the little arrow and I'll just message them right from that poll. And I'll just be like, hey, I just noticed you responded to my poll. Like, and I get right into it. Because here's the other part, like a lot of coaches kind of like tenderfoot their way into these conversations. Like, if you're wanting to go somewhere and you're wanting to do something with this business, you ain't got time for that. Period. Like, you just got to go. So if they're responding to you, they already know you're a fitness person. They're already reaching out to you because of fitness. That's your open door to just talk about it. You don't have to wait for them to bring it up. Like, the very first question that I ask everyone is, tell me what your story is. Catch me up. Tell me what you're wanting to do. And they literally give me their entire history. This is all the diet pills I've done. This is all the programs I've done. Nothing's working. Here I am. I need to lose this amount of weight. And I'm like, okay, I have all the information already. Awesome. Done. One conversation, one question. I think the best way, especially as a brand new coach, to learn how to talk to people is to listen more than speak. And the way that you do that is by asking questions. Get them talking as fast as possible and as much as possible, because they'll do all the work for you. All you have to do is navigate their thought. That's it. If they're going off on a tangent, if they're veering off the path, bring them back in, right? Your job as a coach is to push them. Your job as the coach is to not let them be who they've been being. Your job as a coach is to show them that you're there to help them become who they want to be. And it's a positive thing. It's an awesome thing. I tell my team this all the time. If you're skipping the invitation part of this process, you are missing the most impactful part of that person's journey that you have in your entire journey with them. Because in that invite process, in that very first conversation, is where all the impact that you have counts. From that point on, from the instant they make that sale to doing their first workout, it's 100% on them whether they're going to succeed or not, right? The only impact that we have is in that moment where they're on the fence, they don't believe in themselves, they don't think they could do it, and you get to say, yes, you can. That's where your impact is. And a lot of coaches skip over that part, right? So this networking activity and this power hour is 1000% trying to give you that opportunity to have that moment with that person, period. That's what you're working for. So when you sit down and you do this activity and you're like, what the freak am I doing this for? That's what you're doing it for. You're creating more opportunity for yourself. You're going out there and you're getting it done. You're finding people, right? So that you can make invitations that count. Lindsay said, if they commented on a non-fitness post, how would you start the conversation? Still go straight into the invite? No. So here's the other thing. It has to be fitness related to talk about fitness. If they're like, oh my gosh, your hair's amazing, and you're like, do you need to lose weight? It's like, what? Right? And they'll unfollow you immediately. It doesn't make any sense. Like, use your common sense. Sometimes you have to connect with people for years. And then they finally are like, okay, tell me about what you're doing. Freak. And then they're mad at themselves. I followed you for 8 years. Why haven't I ever done this before? And then you can be like, I don't know, but you're stupid, right? And then you can like tell them and you can get them going. How do you feel about engagement loops? Because of this activity, don't feel like I need them. I feel like I can create my own engagement. And I think for me, anything that's organic or authentic is my jam. If it's something that I feel like, and I know that this is kind of maybe against what some of your coaches have said, but to be honest with you guys, like, why wouldn't I try and help people learn how to engage themselves and be social on social media? If you want people to engage with you, you engage with them, period. That's it, right? I believe in support and I believe in our team. So I believe in organic support from our team. If you guys aren't supporting each other and you're having to create loops in order to just go and visit each other's pages, there's a connection issue. Connect, right? Like, there's so much purpose that goes into intentionally building and networking. But I'm telling you, you don't need engagement loops. You don't need these groups outside of whatever to get people into your challenge groups. You can do it. You have 100% everything that it takes to get your own challengers into your own challenge groups. And I believe that 1000%. If you're brand new and you're still not really with it and you don't really understand what's going on, this activity gives you that. Believe in it, because you can go through the motions of this networking power hour. And then once you start getting people engaging with you and you're like, I don't know what the freak I'm doing, that's when you're like, team, alarm, right? And they can come and they can rescue you and teach you how to have a conversation. And that connection part is really where everybody should be living and helping with each other. And I really think, like, with networking, how does it help me to have, other than boosting the algorithm, which I will say, if you comment on each other's stuff, it does boost your content in the algorithm. But if you're just boosting it to see each other's, how does that help you get new challengers? Again, I'm old school, and I am 1000% in support of coaches being independently able to sustain themselves and their businesses, because I can't hold your hand, and neither can anybody else. You have this beautiful community and family of support. So if you need that, then what I encourage our team to do is go and ask, hey, I have this awesome girl that just commented on this post. I've been trying to get her on my challenge group forever. Can you guys go and support her? Can you go and like post on it and be like, yes, join us. That stuff is like community connection. You're working together, you're journeying together, right? And I do think that engagement loops are that to some extent. How many times do you follow up with someone before giving up if you aren't getting engagement back? I would say so if somebody ghosts me, I have a really great way to save any conversation. We're kind of getting away from the power hour, sorry guys. But if somebody ghosts me, the very first thing that I do is, if it's been a couple days, I write back to them and I take all of that on myself. And I say, I'm so sorry, I didn't forget about you. Husband, I didn't forget about you. I'm still here. Tell me where we left off. Where did we leave off? And I kind of take that awkwardness and put it on myself, even though it was totally them that ghosted me, right? And it just kind of resets the conversation, and it puts them at ease, and it helps them to, like, number one, not feel awkward that they ghosted you or feel bad about it and not want to respond again. But it kind of makes it a safer place to have a real conversation. Because if you'd send them a link and they just stop talking to you after that, right? And you go back and you're like, I'm so sorry, I didn't forget about you, I swear, I'm here, tell me, like, where are we at with this? They'll be like, well, I looked at the link, but it's expensive. And then you can have a conversation, right? You can be like, I know, it's super expensive. I bought my challenge pack on a credit card when I was 6 figures in debt. It's fine. Everybody does it, but that's what you have to do. And then you can have a conversation. But I think taking away some of that guilt and some of that old behavior that they have when they get uncomfortable, because you guys think about it, you're asking them to do something, like not buy something. They have to buy something, but then they have to do something with that. And that's what they're running away from. So you have to kind of bring them back and be like, you're fine, you're okay, you're going to make it. So go back and respond to somebody who answered your poll. Hopefully that answered your question. And then we already did the suggested followers, I think. And then, let's see. You can do the follow unfollow activity again, but I would give it a couple hours and just let that sit for a minute. So what the cool thing about this is, like, once we get off, you guys, like in 20 minutes, like just turn your phones off for a minute. Like just turn them off completely, because you just did all this work. Like let it sink in for a minute. The biggest mistake people have is like a hawk on their phone. And so they're like, oh my gosh, I only got one like, oh my gosh, I only got one message. Oh my gosh, like nobody has even liked my post yet. Give it a couple hours, put your phone away, right? And come back to it. And then you'll get to see those little hearts that are like, you have 52 new likes. And you're like, oh my gosh. And it mentally changes the way that you approach your Instagram. If you're just like constantly on it, it's going to lose some of its value for you. You know what I mean? So give it a minute, shut it down. In 30 minutes, go back to your Instagram and all of your networking. And I want you guys to look at your following and say, did I get any new followers? If you got one, you get to check that off. If you got a new lead, meaning you got a new person to have a conversation with, where you're conversing back and forth, you get to check that off. If you had new engagement, comments, likes, DMs, answers to your polls, you get to check that off, right? Poll voters, new likes, new conversations, new tools that you learned. If you learned something new tonight, you get to check that off, right? If you felt more productive, you get to check that off. If you felt more engaged, if you feel more connected to what you're doing and feel more intentional and like you did something good to actually grow your business, check it off. Like this is where you get to say, did I get out of my comfort zone? And if you didn't, then like go find somebody who you don't ever dare to talk to and like leave them a compliment, and then you can check that off, right? Like figure out a way to feel successful, because that is so key, especially when you're new, especially when you don't really believe in yourself enough yet and you're still kind of borrowing that belief from your coaches and your team. Like you have to rely and borrow that belief until it becomes real for you. And I'm telling you guys, this activity, because it's not emotional, because it's productive, because you get instant results from it, is what's gonna help you grow and continue and keep going and fuel. And once you realize like, I have control over this, this is my choice, I'm doing this. Am I doing the work in here, on here, in my groups, or am I just wasting time, right? And once you can really be like, no, I'm not wasting time. I worked my ass off this last hour and look at all these things that happened. I got a new audience, so the next post I make is gonna be seen by brand new eyes, right? I got people talking to me. I got people liking my stuff. Like go in now and look at who liked your stuff and be like, this person is liking my photo every single day. Like there's, and I will say, you guys, when you talked about like following other Beachbody coaches, some of the Beachbody coaches that I connect with that are new or discount coaches or on other teams that are just going through their journey are some of my favorite people ever, because they like every single one of my things. They feed they fuel my feed with positivity and joy and gratitude every day. Thank you for waking up this morning. I'm so glad to see your face this morning. You inspire me, you push me, right? And just because they're coaches doesn't mean they have no value to me, because I'm not here just to make money off people, right? Expand your network, connect with people, try and really be purposeful and intentional with what you're doing. And the more authentic you can be and the more control you have over what's going on with your business, the more proud of it you're going to be. And the more you get to celebrate those little successes. So hopefully that was beneficial. And my favorite part of this activity is the feedback after. I love hearing when people are like, I got a new follower. I had one of my coaches who does this for the discount, and she's just working on her own journey, but she gets on every single call to just feel the energy of the community. She messaged me a picture of her thread last week after this call and said, somebody tagged somebody else on one of my pictures and told them to follow me. Like, oh my gosh, you need to follow this girl. And it like made her entire week. Erin, I don't know if you're on the call, but like I literally wanted to cry because that is what this is. That's what it's all about right there, right? The sales, the results, all of that stuff cannot happen until we've networked, connected, invited, and created, right, that opportunity. So keep going, keep pushing. You're not doing anything wrong. It's just about figuring out smart things to do with the time that you have so that you can have more time with your babies, make more money so you can give more, right? If you have more, you can give more. It's awesome. This is awesome. I love what we do. It's so exciting. I'm just going to read a couple of the questions. If you guys need to go, you can. But if you have questions, I can answer a few of them. Sherry said, after you follow all the people and are ready to unfollow, do you also unfollow people who have followed you? With this activity, I do. But to be honest with you guys, right now, I'm just in a season where if whatever it is serving me, then I'll keep it. So if I see somebody that I followed and they followed me back and I happen to like their picture or go to their profile page and I'm like, this chick's awesome, then I'll keep following them. But for the most part, again, this is purely networking. This part's not emotional for me. I don't put emotion into it until the connection is made. And that connection comes through conversation for me, because that's all we have really on social media. So that's personally how I do it. But that's, again, you guys, the more you can be like, what feels good to me? That's what I want you to focus on the most. What feels good to you is what's going to build your business, period. Whether somebody else is doing it like that or not, it doesn't freaking matter. Again, we're all on the same journey. We're all on the same path. We all have the same tools, completely unique experiences because of what's going on in our personal lives, period, right? How many times have you, I mean, just to give you a small example, and then I'll let you guys go. I took my coaches to a yoga class at Summit, and two of us were completely like hyperventilating, breaking down into tears. Megan was like, that was kind of boring because it wasn't a flow class. Like Erin was like, that's kind of boring, right? We were all in the same class. We were all together, completely different experiences, but we still journeyed together. And it was still a memorable moment. And we were still able to experience that. That's exactly what this is. So even with your challengers, even with your coaches, even with your mentor, like that's really just what you have to remember. This journey is about doing it together because we're all going to get there. You just gotta tell yourself that we're all going to get there. We're going to make it. If I run out of Cliff Bars, then I'll, borrow a beach bar from somebody else. Like that's just how it works. Does anybody else have any questions? I know this was a lot. I know I was talking really fast because these power hours, we try and get done within the hour. But feel free to message me, ask me questions, tell me your feedback. Please let me know if you did see some growth, because to me, that's awesome. That's what I like to see, is that result of your own personal effort and hard work. So I love you guys. And I hope that you got something out of this. And my coaches, I will see you, what day is it? Thursday, on Tuesday, Monday for our sneak peek for our second encore for MM100. And I hope you guys have a good weekend. And I did record it and I will share it. I'll share it with all the coaches who I sent the link to. So if you want this to play it back, then you can. Okay? Hey guys, we'll talk soon.